Call the meeting of the Haywood County Board of Education to order. This time I'd like to ask everyone to please rise for our invocation, followed by our Pledge of Allegiance. Our invocation, Mr. Rogers, would you please lead us in our invocation?
Let us pray. Kind, gracious Heavenly Father, again, we thank you for the many opportunities that you give us. We thank you for the opportunities to serve on this Board of Education, to help give the children of this county and this state the best education possible, to let them grow and develop. And thank you for the many teachers and staff that we have that show their excellence each day in the classroom, helping these children to grow, helping these children to learn. Be with our parents, be with all of our staff in our schools, our cafeteria workers, our custodians, maintenance, bus drivers, and all of our central office staff, especially our teachers and principals and administrators. Lord, we pray that you guide them, direct them every day, that we can always have the best school system in this state, and that we can have the best children, and that we can do all these things that we can do, Lord, and it be under your blessings and in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Board members, you see before you the announcements. I'm not going to read them all. The only thing I guess we really need to announce is that is there a change on the Haywood Community Learning Center date and time? So that's the reason it's highlighted. I thought that was correct, but it's June the 2nd now at Haywood Community College at 6 p.m. The rest of them are listed for your information, and so take this sheet with you so we can make every effort to attend all the not only the awards ceremonies, but a lot of the fundraisers that are being sponsored on behalf of our students. Now the board recognizes Dr. Bill Nolte for introduction.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Garrett, the visiting team, and guests, we at this time we'll want to thank just a couple people for helping us with visitation. The first person I want to thank is Julie Ann Davis. The Ann is a inside joke I'll tell you about later. Julie, will you stand? She's already smiling. Julie makes accommodations happen in a very nice way, and she's worked very, very hard. Also want to thank Dr. Garrett. Dr. Garrett and I sat down in June to talk about who would lead our self-assessment in terms of standards chairs, and she led the way on making sure we had the correct co-chair people assigned to the standards committee, and worked with us each month along the way as we looked at our standards. And then the standards chairs in particular, want to appreciate you. All of you back there probably served on one of the committees, but we want to thank you for leading that effort and doing a really critical and accurate review. I appreciate that. Could you put up the introduction for our folks? I talked to Mary Mickelson on the phone prior to the visit, as is common when the contact person for the school system and the lead evaluator talk, and she said, "This is a really talented team." And I went, "Yeah, okay," because I've been on teams before. But when I got the list and started looking at it, I was like, "Oh yeah, not sure you could have picked a better team to come here." So without wasting a lot of time of your time, and of course, you know, I bounce around. Dr. Garrett wanted me to thank you for coming during the day and some of you missing work for a school board meeting. She asked me to do that a few minutes ago. But Mary Mickelson is our lead evaluator. She is, the neat thing about this is she's an experienced lead evaluator for advanced ed. She's literally in on teams around the world in other countries to look at similar standards or some of the same standards that we look at. She has an extensive background in State Department work and working with AIG, and she's been an adjunct instructor at Indiana Wesleyan for a number of years. So she brings a lot of leadership to the team. Our associate lead is Dr. Hurley from Western Carolina University. He's a professor there. Another really good perspective for our team is that he's actually a member of the North Carolina Advanced Ed Council. And that council does a lot of work inside our state and serves in critical roles in other places for reviews of schools and school systems. So we appreciate Dr. Hurley's experience. Matthew Cheeseman is the superintendent, an acting superintendent in Perquimans County down east in North Carolina. And that's unique. You don't get a lot of acting current superintendents on your review teams. Sometimes you do, but most of the time it's a retired superintendent or someone who's been out of the field for a while. So to have that kind of current expertise is good. The other neat thing about him is he has been in, I won't go through the list, but he has been in a number of very effective leadership roles, ed leadership roles, literally across the country, East Coast to West Coast, different states. And that brings a good third-party review to us. The next is Dr. Plew. Kevin Plew is the principal at Forest Hills High School down in Union County in Monroe. And a high school principal giving his time at this time of year to come and look at our standards is important. The other key thing I think for us is he's in Union County, and they are consistently one of the higher performing school systems in the state, and they have pockets of poverty and minority populations that are larger than ours. So I'm sure that conversation and experience really contributed to the review of our standards, so we appreciate that. Tammy Dawson, a very successful high school principal in Florida, and then moved to the regional assistant superintendent of secondary education role in Polk County down in Lakeland. The reason that's important for us, and you all know this because we're very open with data, is that all of our schools perform well, but we want our secondary schools to perform a little closer to our elementaries have performed. So that expertise on the committee, I'm sure, was beneficial as they talked about each standard. And then last but not least, Vanessa Nelson Reed. I don't know her real well, but I have had the benefit of sitting in meetings where she was doing a federal audit and has given feedback to federal programs. She has extensive experience with federal programs and other related and support services. She worked in our State Department of Public Instruction. She is now the Director of Federal Programs down in Walterboro, South Carolina, and I'll end with this, and then we'll turn it over to Mary Mickelson for comments and for the exit report. But Vanessa is one of those people who will give you critical feedback that you need. You may not have asked for, but you need it. And she will smile at you and make you feel good, as she is doing now. So the whole committee has been that way, and we appreciate that, and I'll turn it over to you at this time.
Well, first of all, it's been really good to be here this week. We arrived on Sunday afternoon. I arrived on Saturday, drove down from Indianapolis. It's clear to you now that I'm not from North Carolina. So I enjoy coming to North Carolina, and I've been here several times. And I particularly like Western North Carolina, not because I'm standing here talking to you, but because of the mountains. I'm sure you all don't take that for granted, but for me to be in the mountains of North Carolina in the spring, the different colors of green are just amazing to me. Now then there are the hills and the curves. I haven't yet decided whether it's better to be in front of the truck or behind the truck. I do not want to be beside the truck, especially on the curves.
That's correct.
And then there's Crabtree Road. That's a story for another. The Google directions I had were wonderful, but they did bring me down Crabtree Road, and I'm going, I'm happy I don't drive a bus on Crabtree Road. So anyway, it has been wonderful to be here. We have learned a lot in 3 short, long days. They are both short and long. We have learned much since we arrived and had our first meeting on Sunday. We've used that information to make ratings, and we've made ratings, and we are making an accreditation recommendation to the Advanced Ed Accreditation Commission. The commission meets for sure in January and again in June. Occasionally they will meet at some other times as well. The recommendation that we are forwarding to them they will take action at their June 2017 commission meeting. So you'll get the official word after their June meeting, and they meet late that last week of June. We're not here to tell you you're accredited. We're here to make a recommendation, and it's one of the slides later on in the report. This is your exit report. It's your PowerPoint. It is yours to share in whatever ways you believe are most important to share. So, is somebody back here? Technology is a wonderful thing. Okay, the first several slides in this slide presentation are what I consider the commercials for Advanced Ed. We are the largest accrediting agency in the world. Advanced Ed, as Dr. Nolte alluded, has a global footprint. We started our life, Advanced Ed. I'm not a salaried employment, but I am part of we. So we started our life 10 years ago when SACS, the Southern Association that y'all have been part of for decades probably, and North Central Association, which Indiana schools have been part of for decades, when they came together to form Advanced Ed. So Advanced Ed accredits schools in the United States as well as our the schools we have on U.S. military bases around the world. And there's a growing presence in the Middle East at international schools where English is the language of instruction, and in Central and South America, as well as the Far East and Southeast Asian areas. So it truly is a global footprint, and you are part of that. And you are a leader in that because you were an early adopter of system accreditation. So congratulations for that. So we'll take next slide, please. It is an international protocol, and the focus is on helping you become the very best district that you can be, the very best school system you can be. And I thank you, Mr. Rogers, for sharing the fact, the first people you mentioned after one were the children. It has been clear to us since before we arrived on Sunday that education in Haywood County, North Carolina, is about the children. It is also about all those other people that you mentioned, because the children are the focus of what happens here. And when I talk with support staff members, and I had that opportunity Monday, what do you do in your job at this school system? What do you do to support student learning? They can all say what they do. Maybe it's we don't mow during state testing week. That is a way to support student learning. Maybe it's we keep all the technology working, and where are they? Where are the technology folks? Todd, where are you? A hallmark for me is when I can take my Android tablet into a classroom and do the work that I need to do to fill out my observation form and not have hitches in the internet. We were able to do that yesterday. So we thank you for that, and that's a kudo for your technology staff. So, but and Julie made interventions with the Terrace Inn, which was a wonderful place to be. We had a little hiccup at the beginning, but it's a really good place to be. The AC works, the internet works, and the food was fine. So it's been a great week to be here, so we appreciate that. Our job is to give you some feedback, not to tell you how to do your work. Our job is not to tell you how to be a board. You know that. You have training for that that's provided by the state of North Carolina. We know that. Our job is not to tell your administrators, your directors and building level administrators. Our job is not to tell you how to do your job. It's to give you some feedback to help you make those decisions. Take next slide. We've been here to do specifically three things: to listen and learn. We heard some presentations on Monday morning. We had interviews. Now, for us, how many of you are in a part of a business and your books go out and get audited, right? They come with a checklist. Yes, yes, no, change it. No, ooh, fix this. Yes, yes. We are not here as auditors. We do not have a list of questions for which there are right or wrong answers. We offer a prompt for people to talk about, and we listen and we learn. And we learn from the presentations as well as from the interviews. So we observe students engaged in learning. Every word in that sentence or that statement is important. We observed students. We were not here to evaluate your teachers. So please go back one more time to your buildings and let them know that if the team members were in your classroom yesterday, they were not evaluating you, the teacher. We were in classrooms yesterday, 58 of them. And we saw students engaged in learning, and we'll share those ratings with you in a few minutes. We were also had the opportunity to review pieces of evidence, artifacts. Some were on paper in notebooks, others were electronic files that were shared with us, and that's a place where Dr. Nolte and Julie did yeoman's work to put all those artifacts together for us to review, so we appreciate that. Once we had as much information as 6 people can gather in 3 days, do we know everything there is to know? No? Are there some things we didn't learn about? Oh, yeah. Are there some things that you wish we had learned about and we didn't? Well, yeah, there are some of those. We also didn't learn about some of those other things. You know the ones, right? Well, we don't need to know about those either. So we've learned as much as we could learn, and then we made ratings. We made ratings in the same way that your system level leaders, your central office people, and the people out in the buildings made rating for 5 standard areas. And there are 32, 33 different indicators for which we made ratings. We then had many discussions, Sunday afternoon, Monday evening, Tuesday evening, and this morning into the early afternoon. And we have created a set of findings. This exit report is part of those findings. It is just a little bitty piece of the full report that you will receive after the commission meets in June. There is a full report. It will be available. Dr. Garrett will get an email saying your report is available, and click and she can download it. So that has been our set of responsibilities for this external review. We'll take next slide. We had the opportunity to talk with, I will say, at least 194 people, either in interviews or during presentations. We did not interrupt instruction yesterday, but we had opportunities to talk with 25 students yesterday. Some of them were in the presentation groups at the schools where we visited. Others were students who were maybe working on a project with their computers, or they were working in a pair, and we would just casually say, you know, what are you doing? I see you're using your laptop and you're doing some research work or you're doing some writing. Tell me about what it is you're doing. So we had opportunity to talk with 25 students, and I'll let you read the rest of those numbers. This is 194 for a system that is the size of Haywood County Schools. That's a fairly large number of people that we were able to interact with. Next slide. Advanced Ed, those 30-plus indicators that we made ratings for, are organized into 3 different areas. One is the effect of teaching and learning. And we know that the focus in Haywood County Schools is about helping students become as successful as they can be so that they are prepared for whatever happens after they leave high school here. Capacity for leadership, that's what provides the support, the foundations, the oversight for all the things that are happening out in the schools that are helping students learn. Use of resources, that's everything from personnel through facilities, through resources and resource management, long-range planning. It is also library media centers and technology infrastructure. It's also the support services that you all provide in Haywood County for students who have special learning needs. Whether that's learning needs because they have they're physically challenged, whether they're differently abled in how they learn, or whether they are your AIG students. We had opportunities to visit in traditional high school, alternative high school, and at the early college yesterday. So we know that there are things happening that are meeting the needs of students in Haywood County, whatever those needs might be. So our congratulations to you. And those are the 3 areas that we made ratings for. We are offering powerful practices, 2 of them. an opportunity for improvement, which is an extension of something that's already happening in Haywood County, and one improvement priority. Now, I need to tell you about that improvement priority because every school, every system, anywhere in the world who hosts an external review has one improvement priority. There must be one. We are only offering you one. You hear the rest of that sentence I'm not saying?
Yes.
We must offer you one, and we're offering you only one. And we'll look at that in a minute. The index of educational quality is the average of all those ratings, and there are a couple slides in a minute we'll look at about the index of educational quality. And then I already mentioned that we will make a recommendation for accreditation of Haywood County schools. Okay? So this is the first of the 3 domains, teaching and learning, and the words on that slide you can take a look at later and study those. We're going to move right on to the next one. We were in 58 classrooms yesterday in 8 school buildings. So that means that most of us saw 10, 11, some of us saw 12 classrooms where students were engaged in learning, and we did see engaged students. Sometimes I will go into a classroom, not here, sometimes I will go into a classroom, and the kids are there because everybody has to be somewhere. They're not necessarily engaged on whatever's going on. We saw engaged learning yesterday, but we were not evaluating teachers. So these are the 7 areas for which we made ratings. We made ratings for individual indicators in each one of those areas, but these are the averages. The average for any school, any system, anywhere in the world is in the right-hand column. Our average ratings for the classrooms we visited yesterday are in the center column. And I know you've already looked at them. And what do you notice? They're all higher. Some of them are considerably higher. I will tell you about area number 6, the well-managed learning environment. Mutual respect between and among adults and students. It did not matter how old the student was. It did not matter who the adult was. The respect between children and young people and adults, it's a mutual respect, and we saw and experienced a high level of that yesterday. Typically, there'll be some young child who comes, "Are you the visitor?" That's a way that I perceive that that child is showing respect for me, and my response back is, "Yeah, I'm the visitor. Tell me what it's like to be a student here." So those kinds of opportunities. Now, which is the lowest one on there? Yeah. It's digital learning. That is students using technology to support their learning. We saw in middle school and high school classrooms yesterday, we saw a lot of students using technology actively in their learning. We did not see that so much at the elementary grades classrooms that we visited. We also understand that's an intentional decision at this point. One of the real challenges that educators and communities are facing right now is, what is that balance point between using technology is important and referring back to what we would call traditional learning materials or information? You know, there's still a lot of information that's available in print. Where is that balance point? And when is it a good time for learners, whether they are 7 years old or 17 years old or 37 years old? When is a good time for people to use technology, and when is it a good time to refer back to some of those more traditional modes? So do not be troubled by that 2.04 for digital learning. It's 2.04 on a 4-point scale, but look where the average is for other schools and systems. You all are helping to raise that average. Celebrate that. That's the good news. This is the one and only one improvement priority we are providing for you. And this one, you must address this as a system within 2 years. That's a requirement. It's a requirement to have one. And you must address that one within 2 years. Doesn't mean finish it, because if you look at that one's never going to be finished. There's always going to be one more thing out there that we can reach for. Balance school autonomy or instructional decision-making with accountability for creating and implementing pacing guides and curriculum frameworks at the secondary level. We know that process has begun, and it's got a foothold, it's got roots at the elementary level. challenge for this improvement priority is to extend what you've already got going and move that into the middle and the high school levels. But we know that the processes are there. This is our encouragement to take that farther. So this is not a surprise, I don't think, is it? Secondary folks, it's your turn now. Leadership capacity. We'll take the next slide. The two powerful practices that we're providing for you are both in leadership capacity. Haywood County Schools maintains a culture that builds on the tradition of high academic performance. We celebrate with you the hard work and the intentional decisions and the intentional work that has happened to move from around 40th of 115 or 20 or however many there were back then to 17 to 11. We know that that requires hard work. We know that it requires hard work from everybody. It's not just about the children. It's about everybody working together. So we know that that's what the culture here is grounded in, and it's due to a strong sense of community among all stakeholders. We do not use the word all often or lightly. There is a school, and you probably already know which one it is, but I won't say, where there are pages and pages and pages of community partners listed on the wall. And there are other schools who told us, these are all of our business partners in their presentations. Here are the sponsors for our fall festival. Here are the sponsors for this or that or whatever. 12,000 people or a football game. Boggles my brain. We might have that many people at a basketball game in Indiana High School, but not for a football game. So, and we heard that one ball game generates most of the money that's required for athletic programming. That's amazing. So it is that sense of community, but it's not just about sports and extracurriculars. It's about the instructional pieces as well. It's about people coming in and being mentors. It's about people in the community providing opportunities for students to come and shadow and find out what it's like to be in a business in Haywood County, North Carolina. So that's the first powerful practice we have to offer. And the second one is that you all have created a continuous improvement process that models shared leadership among all stakeholders. There's that all again. That results in a commitment to student success. It's not just about central office administrators saying to the school folks, here, go do this. It's everybody sitting down and talking. It's not about school level leaders, principals and assistant principals and lead teachers saying to teachers out in the classroom, here, now you need to go do this set of instructional practices or use this way to do X, Y, Z in your classroom. It's about everybody sitting down and talking. It's not only about, it is about someone giving me the data about how well my students are doing on the assessments. More important thing that's beginning to happen is help me learn what that means to me in my classroom on Tuesday morning in math. How can I use those data to help me make decisions? That's the improvement process we're talking about here, is how do you keep that process rolling forward? We know that somewhere back here it began, and you know the details of how you've gotten to May of 2017. You also have some idea about where it's going next and what the details, some of those details might be. That continuous improvement process is serving you well. So we'll take the next slide. This is the opportunity for improvement. An opportunity for improvement you can look at and go, oh yeah, those are nice words. The improvement priority, remember you have to do that one. That one you must show progress within 2 years. The opportunity for improvement is an extension for something that you're already doing. The mission and the vision in Haywood County, North Carolina schools, is incredibly powerful. It's been around for a long time. It's grounded in the philosophies and the research that went to the creation of Good to Great. And Dr. Garrett and Dr. Nolte shared with me a little earlier this afternoon that this isn't just something where we go back to Good to Great and say we're going to do this with Good to Great now. Good to Great is what we have become. We have internalized Good to Great in Haywood County Schools. It is who we are now. They still credit Good to Great, but it is how you have made that work and how you've made it your own in Haywood County. That's the important part of that. Resource utilization, again, it's that long list of resources broadly defined. We have not a powerful practice, nor do we have an opportunity or an improvement priority in this particular domain area. So we'll take the next slide. The index of educational quality. This is the average of all the ratings that we made based on what we had learned in the last 3 days. We make our ratings on a 4-point scale, 4, 3, 2, 1, no half points. So each one of us made a set of ratings. All of those ratings are averaged together to create a total IEQ score on a scale of 400. They take the 3.2 and multiply it by 100, put it on a 400 scale. So we're going to look at the next slide because here's the average for every indicator in every standard. The average on a 400 scale is 291.46. It's a pretty nice place to be. I've seen some that are higher, but not very many. And again, you know what you've done to get to 291.46. You have ideas about how it's moving forward from here. This is not a grade. This is not a B. This is a place in time. This is the ratings from the external review team in early May 2017. You all have a set of ratings. When were they from? They were from last fall. Last fall? Last spring? Whenever. Y'all did ratings too, same set of ratings we did. We did not look at your ratings and say, hey, they rated themselves a 2 on a 4-point scale. I think it's a 3. We did not benchmark our ratings on yours. We made our ratings independently from the ratings that you all made in your self-assessment. We made our ratings based on what we had learned and how does what we have learned confirm for us, how does that verify that you're doing what you say you do in Haywood County Schools? So that's how we made our ratings. And we'll take the next slide now. Again, the average ratings for any school, any system, anywhere in the world are on the right-hand column. The average ratings from this team of 6 people are in the center column. And again, look at those numbers. Those are good marks. The average there is the same as the average that was on the other slide. Teaching and learning, the average is a bit above the AEN average. The leadership capacity, it doesn't mean that leadership is not strong. It just means that there's that autonomy piece and that blend of autonomy and accountability. So that's what causes that one to be a little bit lower. It's not an issue, though, because we know that you're working on finding that balance point. So those are the ratings. And again, they are a place and time. They are not carved in stone anywhere. It's just a place and time. Next week they'll be different. Could be. When you, and we didn't talk about this earlier, but when you address that improvement priority and you submit that accreditation progress report, someone will review the accreditation progress report no later than 2 years from now, and that rating could go up. So just know that that's the way that works, okay? And we'll take next slide. All of this said, you all are very much within the range of acceptability that Advance Ed expects from schools and systems around the world. And the next slide is the only one that matters. Our role as the external review team is to make a recommendation to the Accrediting Commission. The Accreditation Commission will meet in June. They will say yes, no, based on our rating. I will tell you I've never been part of a team, either as a lead or as a team member, never ever anywhere in the world where the commission has overturned our recommendation. That is not a guarantee. However, that's been my experience. I'll let you do with that whatever you'd like. Next slide is kind of this is just our encouragement to take advantage of what that improvement priority offers for you to leverage, if you will, in the next 2 years. Continue the journey you're on with improvement. And that third bullet talks about every child, every day. That's Advanced Ed language. But we have lived in that world the 3 days that we are here in Haywood County. It is about every child. It is about every day. So celebrate that. And the next slide is a thank you slide. We thank you for the accommodations and for the hospitality. They have fed us way too well. And we congratulate you on the efforts that you have done, not just to prepare for this visit, but to provide the very best leadership as a board and to allow your system and school leaders to make the daily decisions about what's important with instruction and classroom practices. We know that you release that to them. We also know that you understand what your job is, because those of you who are here for interviews told us that. You know what your job is, and you do your job, and you release your administrators to do their jobs. And that's to celebrate. So on that note, the next slide, I think you'll see your children on here, not literally. These are not the children of Haywood County, but these are representatives of the children around the world. So thank you again. We appreciate your invitation. We are here at your invitation. It has been our privilege to be here. So thanks again.
Ms. Mickelson, thank you on behalf of the board and your team for being here. I know it was at our invitation, but it took time away from your other duties perhaps. And I'd just like to thank each and every one of the team members for you being here to look at Haywood County Schools, because we're proud of them. We're proud of our school system. We're proud of our administrators. We're proud of our support staff, our students. They perform well. They participate in a lot of different activities, and this board supports, as you well know, the activities of our children and our students, and we look forward to them. Now, I've got a confession to make. I didn't quite put together who Dr. Hurley was until the other day, just a few minutes ago. He was part of the team that interviewed the board members, and I didn't put it together. I'm sorry. But maybe that was best. I was very candid in what I said. And so his son and my son played soccer many years ago. Well, they picked dandelions out of the field on the soccer field.
We have a picture of my son on the sideline talking with an adult while the ball was somewhere else.
I hope that he's gained focus since then about not being critical, because I think all the children had a great time, but they were not focused on soccer entirely at that time. But I apologize for that, Casey, and I'm sorry for that. I was sitting here and I said, this is embarrassing. But anyway, I like to admit things in public, and that way I've got an excuse. You know, I've got a lot of witnesses here too. The thing that I would like to say also is I do appreciate the criticism, the constructive criticism, the autonomy, and the accountability piece. We appreciate that. And I also like the way you presented that guarantee and assurance. I was explained one time by an attorney, and I won't say what I was trying to get out of or trying to do, but I said, so you're saying that you guarantee that you can get this ticket reduced from this to this? And he said, well, guarantee is a strong word, but I can assure you that this is going to be taken care of. So I appreciate the way you presented that, and we look forward to the outcome of that commission's decision. And I like your way that you assured us that things would look good. So thank you very much for that. Board members, I'm going to open it up to you guys if you have any comments or questions that you would like to ask the team at this time. Very good. Very good. That's a good thing. Very good. It says here I need to ask for open session. I don't think there's any comments to be made by the public, so we're going to continue on. Board members, at this time it gives me a great amount of pleasure to ask for a motion to accept the review committee report officially.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Jimmy Rogers has made the motion. Do I hear a second? Second, Mr. Larry Henson. Are there any questions or comments or discussion on the motion on the floor? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And again, thank you so much to the team for your time and efforts in this accreditation process. Thank you very much. There being nothing else,
Mr. Chair.
I'd like to just say, go ahead.
Just to notice that for our next board meeting, which will be on the 8th, the summer conference for the NCSBA is coming up in June.
Okay.
And for this board to be making whoever's going to be attendance, they will require reservations by May the 19th
Okay.
to reserve a block of rooms be at Carolina Beach.
Okay. We need to take action here, just to.
Not now, just
Okay.
we'll do that Monday night at our board meeting.
Yeah, if you do plan on
We'll have to do it by
attending, you
then.
do need to let Ms. King know about those reservations. Anything else? The last thing I'd like to say is congratulations, Haywood County Schools. I'm very proud of our system from top to bottom, and there's really no bottom. And just know that this board supports your efforts, and we saw the tremendous amount of work and effort that went into this visit and what you do every day. Thank you so very much. Meeting adjourned.